Hello and welcome to On the Record, a debate-style television talk show where Bahamians will find the balanced, true and open debate they've been looking for. Nurse, athlete, devout Christian, politician, and mentor describes the one woman in this country whose name is synonymous with assisting countless Bahamians, myself included, in realizing their educational and subsequent professional dreams. The Honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt is a household name and belongs to a lady who has ascended to one of the highest offices in government, yet manages to maintain a level of humility that is known to very few of this era. Tonight we have as our very special guest this wonderful woman who has many titles, but for the purposes of this setting, she is Mother Pratt, and we are discussing the life and times of a Christian politician. It's all on the record. I'm your host, Jerome. We are back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Davriel, and welcome to Rev Tips, where we answer your most important Rev service questions. Today's questions are all about RevGo Play, the new TV Everywhere app from Rev. How many devices can I use RevGo Play on per Rev TV account? You can use up to 3 devices on RevGo Play per Rev TV account, and you can stream live 2 devices simultaneously. How do I record my favorite shows on RevGo Play? Simply select your favorite show, select record, and choose between current or series recording. How many NDV hours do I have and when do they expire? You can record up to 20 hours of content using your RevGo Play NDVR. Your recorded content will remain in your storage folder for up to 30 days. How do I activate Catch Up TV or Start Over? If you've just tuned into your favorite show but want to start from the beginning, simply select Restart. If you have more questions about RevGo Play, feel free to visit the RevGo Play page on cablebahamas.com or call our support team at 601-2200.
Is your loved one celebrating a birthday, or maybe they're commemorating a special occasion and you don't know what to get them? Why not get them something custom made from Executive Printers? At Executive Printers, you can create personalized calendars, greeting cards, and even playing cards just for them. A one-of-a-kind gift. They can even do personalized cups, mugs, keychains, coasters, and notepads. So come in and place an order today. We are located on Jerome Avenue South, or log on to epbahamas.com for more info.
When we speak of Mother Pratt in this era, many remember her stellar political career. But we invite you to pause for a moment as we recall all of her accomplishments in public life. The name Mother, incorporated into the name Cynthia Mother Pratt, epitomizes the definition of a mother in so many ways. Growing up as Cynthia Moxie, one of 16 children, the athletically gifted, tenacious young woman made a name for herself early on in the community, primarily for her outstanding abilities in almost every athletic discipline. By the time she entered the Princess Margaret Hospital Nursing School and graduated as a trained nurse in 1963, she had already laid the foundation for her gift of transforming lives. 14 years later, when she left the operating theater and began teaching physical education at the C.C. Sweeting Secondary School, she began saving lives in a non-traditional sense. In 1980, leaving behind a husband and family, she pursued higher education at St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina. She simultaneously served as head coach of the softball team, landing on the honor roll for the entire period. While obtaining a Bachelor of Science degree in Health and Education with a minor in Sociology, she was named Coach of the Year by the National Collegiate Athletic Association and the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. By 1993, she was bestowed the honorary doctorate degree of Humane Letters by her alma mater, St. Augustine's in Raleigh. As the president of the Bahamas chapter of the St. Augustine's Alumni Association, she served in a dual role, giving hundreds of Bahamians a shot at a college education as an official recruiter. A college degree became a reality for many who otherwise would never have seen any form of tertiary education. Her scholarship assistance is legendary. Nowadays, she's known as an astute, steady-handed senior politician, but there was a time her athletic abilities made her equally as famous. She was named Most Valuable Player while leading the Bahamas national softball team to a bronze medal at the 1981 World Games in Santa Clara, California. It was during those games that she was given the name Mother. By no means the oldest player, she somehow, though, managed to corral the team and lead them to a place in history. Upon graduating from college, she returned to teaching and eventually moved to tertiary education into the role as a part-time lecturer and the Assistant Student Activities Director at the College of the Bahamas. In 1997, she took a bold step and entered politics. In her very first race, she became the elected Member of Parliament for St. Cecilia, a seat she held successfully until her retirement from politics in 2012. In 2002, she would again take her place in history as the first female Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. A sudden illness of then Prime Minister Perry Christie also allowed her to become the first female acting Prime Minister of the Bahamas. Since her official retirement from frontline politics, Mother Pratt has remained active in the community on many different levels. As an ordained minister of the gospel, her work in the church has never wavered. And now, with an incredible life story, the Cynthia Mother Pratt, revered by Bahamians of all ages and socio-economic backgrounds, is poised to step into the spotlight on a world stage. Ironically, the rest of the world is just beginning to discover what Bahamians have known and loved about Mother Pratt for decades.
And our very special guest tonight is the Honourable Cynthia Mother Pratt, the first female Deputy Prime Minister of the Bahamas, but so many other titles attached to that name. Our topic tonight, Mother Pratt, the life and times of a Christian politician. Welcome to our studios. Welcome to On the Record. Mother Pratt, I have to tell you, this is an honor for you to be here. We have been trying to organize this show for a while, and for various reasons. You know, this is a show where we talk about politics and national issues, and often in our country, the politician is revered as the person who has done so much and sometimes has done so much good. But you represent that and so much more. Your life's work began with literally saving lives as a nurse. But you know, you have grown and continued your work and done so much until it was time for you to leave politics. You had determined that that was it. So I want to start by talking about what you have been doing since you left the halls of Parliament. Yes. And gave up the political career.
Yes. First of all, Jerome, let me thank you for having me on the show, and I want to give God thanks for allowing me to be here this morning to share with the nation. Jerome, after leaving public life, I mean, you never ever really leave public life, but politics, as we call it, you have an opportunity to really spend time with the people, especially when you live among the people. And so I'm presently dealing with my foundation, which is called the Mother Pratt Foundation. And this is a foundation that we will use to assist women with addiction. As you know, in our country, we have Teen Challenge that deals with men. We have BASH that deals with men, but we have nowhere for women, nothing. And so I'm focusing on the foundation, that this would be an area where we could assist these women, because, you know, they come with baggage. And so the children, you of course consider the children as well. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on the foundation and trying to get that to a level whereby we'll be able to not just assist women, but also communities where we have families who are hurting, whether it's by economic means. Some of them are teen mothers and they need assistance, clothing and shoes, food, that kind of thing. And that is my life, Jerome. That has always been my life. But I think right now, because it is in demand even more, it's greater now than ever before. And we have to come together and assist wherever we can. And so in the community of Coconut Grove, where I reside, I still do, and I'm still doing the same things that I've been doing when you were a young boy. And so I'm excited about that, and I enjoy when I can see families being assisted. And right now, through the foundation, we have a number of international persons who are part of it on the board. And so these people are sending things into the foundation so we're able to assist as many as we can.
Fantastic work. We'll certainly talk about that a little later.
Yes.
I have to ask you this. Now, growing up, I remember, one thing I remember, Mother Pratt used to sweep the road in front of her house because you wanted to ensure that your surroundings were, you still doing that?
Still do. I did it this morning again, Jerome. Jerome, you know, it's one thing to tell people what to do and how to be prideful and how to take care of your community. It's another thing to show them. You see, because they see me and they wonder, Mother Pratt, what are you doing with the broom? I said, I live here. I live here. And so the message I try to send to the children is that if all of us take pride in ourselves, we won't have to blame the government because the streets aren't clean. We put the trash here. We put the garbage here. It's our place to clean it. This is the message that I've been trying to send when I gather children and I go from street to street, get garbage bags, get rakes, shovels, whatever we need, and we go and we clean the streets. The reason for that is because it is our place to teach the young ones while we are saying, keep your communities clean. But if you pass your house, you have to step through the trash to get to your door. You see what I'm saying? So the thing about it is we have to be serious about what we are teaching our children. And so I believe in action, showing them. And when they can see it, then they will know there's nothing wrong with keeping your house or your yard clean.
I keep saying I remember that vividly as a child watching, and that's still going on today.
Yes.
One of the significant things that has happened, I know, since you left politics is you have written a book.
Yes.
And that book has now led into something even greater on a global stage. But I want to talk a little bit about the inspiration for that book and what you are doing now with that book and what is to come as a result of that.
You know, Jerome, my husband, of course, you know Joe, was alive at the time. And it was his idea always for me to write a book. And every day, or just about every other week, he's, Cynthia, you're going to write the book, write the book. Jerome, I'm in politics. I've got this nation on my head. I don't have time to think about a book. And here I am, and I'm talking to him. I said, Joe, I just can't deal with any book now. I don't know.
You got a national security ministry to look after.
I don't know if I'm going or coming some days. Because, you know, national security.
Yeah,
today you're a hero, tonight you're a villain.
Oh, yeah,
you
that's
know,
a rough ministry.
Oh, yes. and so here I am trying to keep the pieces together, and you're telling me about a book. I really didn't understand, Jerome. I didn't see the big picture. And when he started to ail, get a little down in his health, he's kept at me. He said, Cynthia, you're not going to write the book. And I said, anyway, let me consider it. Dr. Miles Monroe came to me and he said, Mother, you need to write your book. You have a story. You have many stories to tell. And I said, but at that time, Jerome, financially, we didn't have it to write a book. And so Dr. Miles came to me. He said, I'm going to get someone to do this for you. So he told me that he was going to get his writer, who was Dr. Richardson. I waited, and I didn't hear any more. And one morning, I just got up and I decided, let me call down to BFM. And when I called, they said that Dr. Richardson had retired, but they had her home number. But I called her, and she said, you know what? I was about to call you because the Holy Spirit told me to write your book. And I was just stunned. And so she then wrote, this was the first book. And that first book was called No Equal to God's Chosen. That was the name of the first book. The second book is called An Ordinary Woman from the Heart of the Inner City. I wanted, Jerome, to tell the people about where I've come from, where God has brought me from, because the masses are still down there. I'm not ashamed to talk about my life because I want to inspire people. I want to motivate people. I want to bring them hope so that they would know it's not where you begin. You might be in the gutter today, but you won't stay there if you're determined to come out. And so I wanted them to see the path in which I've come. I wanted them to know that the woman you're seeing today was not always the woman yesterday, because the masses who are still in the gutter have given up hope, Jerome. They've given up hope. And I have to tell them there is hope, because the same God that raised me up is the same God that exists today.
And you came from such a far away, one of 16 children.
Yes.
Coming from abject poverty and using even athletics to help to elevate yourself, going into the nursing field and moving to education. And even those initial strides were significant in those days.
I didn't see the picture then, Jerome. The thing about it is all of this God was doing all along, but I didn't see the picture because I had my plan, not God's plan. I'm talking about me. And so when I now see the pieces that has been brought together, I could appreciate exactly the path in which He has taken me and where I am today.
Take us back to 1997. So Lyndon Pindling is now leader of the opposition, PLP.
Yes.
He approaches you about entering politics, running in St. Cecilia.
Jerome, I am employed at the College of the Bahamas at this time. You remember, he started out at C.C. Sweeting, and then I was getting ready to retire.
What year was this?
This was...
Are you talking about retirement?
This was in 91.
Wow.
This was in 91 when the science teacher, Mr. Wells, came to me with an ad he saw in the papers. And he said to me, he said, Mother, look at this ad. He said, the College of the Bahamas is seeking an assistant director of student activities. This looks just like you.
So you took that job. You're there now for several years.
Yes.
So Lyndon approaches you about running.
So Lyndon comes to me. Neville Wisdom then called me to say, so Lyndon want to have a meeting with me. I said, with me? For what? I'm trying to figure out what in the world, because I'm not in politics, never been around it, never been interested. And he came to the house and he said he wanted to know whether I would be interested in running for, of course, the Progressive Liberal Party in the next general election. And I said, well, that wasn't a difficult question. I said, no, sir. Well, the reason is, number one, I'm poor. Number two, I am not from the best family in the world. You know, I have some brothers who fight behind the pulpit if you put them there. So you're looking at all of the negatives. And I said, there's just no way. I don't have a clue about politics, not a clue. And I went on, and he sat there, just like you, looking at me, and he said, are you finished? I said, yes, sir. He said, that's why we need you. Well, listen, when he said that, he said, Mother Pratt, listen to me. He said, you know how many of us wish we had your legacy? He said, in this country, you've helped the masses from down here. But he said, if you go up here, how much more? How many more you'll be able to help?
So, 97 election, the PLP suffers its second defeat.
Yes.
So Lyndon exits.
Yes, and
you
left
are
me.
one of a handful
Yes.
within Parliament.
It was only 6 of us now.
Well, a handful and 5 fingers and
Yes.
6 of you.
And Sir Lyndon retired, left 5. So I'm wondering, you came and you got me and you left. Now I'm here with 4 men and myself. It started out with 5. It was only 6 of us. And so here we are having to carry on. And I was nowhere discouraged because what I saw was politics was about people. And I've always been dealing with people, but not from the political realm.
2002, PLP returns with a huge victory. You would have come in as deputy leader, and now you are deputy prime minister.
Yes.
First female to become deputy prime minister and minister of national security.
Yes.
One of the largest, probably most precarious ministries in government.
Tell me about it.
At that point, did you feel you were prepared for what was about to happen and what you were stepping into?
I don't know if you ever really feel prepared because there's so much of the unknown when it comes to politics. Because today you're thinking that I'm going to be this, and when you find out you're something totally different, depending on the situation. I had no idea at all, Jerome, that I would be sitting in that position. And so when I was named, I knew then I had the toughness, even though I might appear not to be tough. Being a female.
Well, probably ain't no way you could say you appear not to be tough. You've always been tough.
But people didn't see that.
Well, I guess I knew that.
Yes,
I knew
you see,
that side of
people
you.
saw the soft side
Yeah.
and they saw the compassionate side,
Right.
but they didn't know that I could also be a lion when it's time
Oh, yeah.
to be a lion. You know,
We're going to go to this break, but I have to tell you this story before we go to the break. Because, a lot of people don't know. Mother Pratt was instrumental in me going to college. I came one day and my mother said, Mother Pratt, send this application for you. Fill that out, you go into St. Aug. I lived with your sons my first year, and I remember, boys in a house in college.
Yes.
I got to tell you,
That's
we
right.
weren't
Oh,
the
yeah.
best
No,
housekeepers.
sir. Absolutely.
Until one day I came in and they pull out the couch and they was dusting and I said, well, what's going on? They said, Mother Pratt coming to town. We have to get this house together, Mother Pratt. And I think you walked through for a total of maybe 1 minute and said hi. Listen, you've always been that pillar of discipline. But folks, we are talking to Cynthia Mother Pratt on the record. We will be right back right after this quick break.
This segment is sponsored by Percys Island Game.
We're gonna give you a check every week for a year.
Bro, you hear about Percy's pension plan?
Yeah, something about $1,000 a week for a year.
That's Percy's pension plan. You could win one of 5. All you gotta do is put $20 on your Island Game account, and you have a chance to win up to 52 times.
You know something, guys? I can need one of those Percys pension planning because with Island Game, it's surely a guarantee. Oi,
I ain't got no tension.
I got Percys pension.
Counting right this easy train at Percy's Island Game.
police leave home every morning, not knowing if they're going to come back alive.
I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone.
But what they need to understand is some of us do too.
And I'm telling them, that's my baby down there.
And until we understand that about each other and seek an impartial way getting to the truth, we'll always have two sides.
Narrated by executive producer Viola Davis. Two Sides. Monday at 10 on TV One.
Welcome back to On the Record tonight. I'm honored to have in studio Cynthia Mother Pratt. We're talking about Mother Pratt, the life and times of a Christian politician. As we went into the break, we were talking a little bit about your political career in the context of your book and what you've written, but I want to go back to that period where you served as Deputy Prime Minister. I'm sure it was unforeseen that you had to step into the role of acting Prime Minister. Then Prime Minister Percys fell ill.
Yes.
Was out of office.
Yes.
You became acting Prime Minister.
Yes.
I want to know, what was that period like for you, having to be now in charge of this entire country?
Yes. Well, one thing, Jerome, you knew then you know how to pray. That's one thing.
That's the first thing.
You need God because you're going into an arena that you've never been in before. And wisdom is something you must ask God for because you're dealing with people. What I did was my colleagues, all of the cabinet ministers, they gathered around me and they were very supportive of me. We worked as a team. And there was a time I had even called the former Prime Minister, Hubert Ingram, to ask his advice on something. And because I believe in leadership, that's the right thing to do. You shouldn't be too proud that you feel that you can do it.
Most people would hear that and say, well, why would you call a former Prime Minister from an opposing party to ask his opinion?
We're talking about running a country here now. We're not talking about parties and individuals. We're talking about running a country. And if Jerome Sawyer knows more about journalism, why would I try to pretend as though I'm a journalist? Call Jerome Sawyer for advice on how to deal with journalism. That's the wise thing to do. And so I believe that persons who have the expertise in certain areas, who've been there before me, why not? And as a matter of fact, the Prime Minister, Percys, he often said, well, if you got into any difficulties, call Hubert Ingram. He would talk with you and he would tell you that the thing about governance and leadership as a whole, if you don't know where you're going, how can you lead the people? You must know. The people must see that you know where you're going. And so being in that position, I felt very secure with the team around me because it's the team that makes a leader look good, you know. Mm-hmm. And so the cabinet ministers, every one of them supported me wholeheartedly.
Wow, incredible. Now, you have determined going into the 2012 elections that that's it. Mm-hmm. You are coming out of politics. What was it that made you decide this was it? That I was exiting the political stage?
Jerome, you know, if it had been for the people, I would be there till today. Mm-hmm. I'd still be in Parliament. But you must know when your time have come. Mm-hmm. My husband was ailing. That's my right hand. I'm getting up in age. I know I'm not 14 anymore. I also recognize that the times were changing. People were changing. There was a period where I'm wondering, is this still the Bahamas? Because we've become so unthankful. And I believe that had a lot to do with the Ministry of National Security because it's a thankless ministry. I was at a point, Jerome, where my children saw what I was going through. And I never thought I'd hear my husband make a statement like this. He said to me, he said, Cynthia, I didn't know it was all this, other than I would never have encouraged you to enter politics. I couldn't believe my husband made that statement.
Who was always very, very supportive, always at your side,
Yes,
always there.
because he saw the pressure I was under. He knew that I was doing my best, and he also knew that I meant well for the country. Because when you are a leader, you don't see party. You see the people.
You shouldn't.
You don't see color. You see the people. And so you try to lead a people called Bahamians. And so I had to grow quickly, Jerome. I had to learn quickly. And I knew where to go to get good advice. I must give credit, a lot of credit also, to Miss Karen of the Tribune, because I often spoke with her. And she always gave me advice on certain things, how to do and what to do. And I also spoke with other persons from both sides of the political divide. And they gave me advice on different things. And I, of course, had to use my own judgment as to what I think is best for the people. And I believe that we did a pretty good job at the time, but I couldn't wait for the Prime Minister to come back, because it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job.
You, your family, even those around you, came under attack from time to time because of your role in politics, because you were in political life. That must have been very difficult to witness and to watch that happen. And to the people around you, the people you love, are now targets.
Yes. Jerome, it was very painful for me, especially when you knew you were innocent. And the thing about politics is that people are not concerned about whether you're innocent or not. It's the brownie points that they're trying to get to make people feel that.
I always say never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Good story. And so sometimes when they would say things and they make allegations, I'm wondering who they're talking to. And there were times when my husband says, Cynthia, I think they meant you. I said me, but I wasn't even in town. But that doesn't matter. The point is, in politics, if you respond to everything, it makes another story. And so many times you just leave it, and so people would then think you're guilty. But because you know that if you continue to run on and on and on, then one thing leads to another. When you have family, Jerome, you can't divorce yourself from your family. That's your family. Some might be good, some might be not so good, but at the same time,
stuck with them.
And that's your family. And so most of the time, they would get into problems, and they would put my picture in the papers as though I did something. And then you would read it and see that's my nephew or my cousin or my somebody. I said, well, what is my picture here for? But that's the price you pay when you're in public life. And so for women who want to enter public life, they need to know in advance what to expect, because it is a dangerous game sometimes, but because it is a game. But it's like it's a little boy's game sometimes. And so it's different from females, because if you would notice in the Parliament, I met Janet Bostwick in the Parliament. I met Teresa Moxey in the Parliament. And if you notice during the years we were there, I was a Lone Ranger on the other side. But never once have I ever disrespected Janet, never once. We have had differences in opinions, but we did it with respect. I don't see that today, Jerome. And so I think that respect should remain in spite of what side of your divide you're on, the political divide you're on. Because our people must know that those people who sit in those positions are nation builders. They're nation builders. And so we are there for a purpose, and we must fulfill that purpose.
One of the things I want us to discuss, since your departure from frontline politics and since writing this book, something fantastic has happened, to which I think possibly no Bahamian has has ever had the opportunity, and that is you have been approached now about having a movie made about your life.
Yes.
And some of the biggest names in Hollywood are seemingly involved. I want to talk a little bit about this movie and who are some of the key players.
Well, let me begin, Jerome, by saying the book that was written, of course, the name of the book is called An Ordinary Woman from the Heart of the Inner City. These books, it was only about 500 of them printed. They weren't sent back to the Bahamas. They were sent to Canada, America, and to Europe. Barnes and Nobles found the book in Portland, Oregon. And they contacted us saying that they were interested in purchasing my life rights. Well, by the time we got their proposal, HBO contacted us, said they were interested in purchasing the life rights. Well, by the time we got their proposal, Universal Studios contacted us. And I was wondering, well, how did they know? So they obviously they were all in the same arena or something. And by the time we got their proposal, then Oprah Winfrey contacted us. She wanted to purchase. And then Tyler Perry. And then, of course, Netflix, Magic Johnson, and there were two others, I don't remember their names, but they all were interested in purchasing our life rights. They wanted to do a movie. As a matter of fact, Netflix said that they wanted to do a series of movies.
Wow.
From it because they think that it's an interesting story. And what they said is they did a research and they found that I'm the only woman in the world. Listen to this. This is what they're saying to us. I'm the only woman in the world that came from the gutter, a woman of color, that came from the gutter to end up leading a country. It has never happened nowhere in the world. Now, you had other women leaders but they didn't come from the gutter. You see? And so they said it's an amazing story, and that's why they're interested. Oprah said that she thinks that she'll do the best job because she have the audience and she have this and that. So it is a buzz in LA about the book.
Have you determined
and the movie.
who you're going to go with at this point?
Yes, but I don't want to reveal that yet. No.
Mother Pratt, that is a fact. In that, I don't even know how to phrase this question. How did that make you feel? How does all of this now weigh upon you?
Well, Jerome, you know, right now, why I'm excited for my country as a nation. It's not about Mother Pratt here. It's about a woman that came from a small country called the Bahamas that will be on the screens. That's what's important to me, because you're talking about inspiring the masses who are still down there, not only in the Bahamas, but around the world. There are countries, Jerome, where women are nothing. These women will be able to see this movie. It'll motivate them, for them to know there is hope. Jerome, there is hope. A woman coming from the Bahamas where you can barely see on the map. That means that our country will be recognized. Not Mother Pratt, but the country. That's what encourages me, because Jerome, see, it's not about me. I'm a mere vessel. But I want to know that the children down there who's in the ghetto, and nobody sees them as anybody, they can one day rise up. Because the woman that sits on 6th Street, the Grove, today, the house that I lived in when I'm gone, they will know that a woman, all of the history is right there. 6th Street, the Grove. It's not in San Souci. It's not in Lyford Key. It's not in the Eastern Road. It's in the heart of the inner city. And that's the message for the masses to know that you can be in the ghetto, but not of the ghetto. That's the message.
Mother Pratt, having said that, we're going to take a break. We are at the halfway mark in our show. Our topic this evening is Mother Pratt, the life and times of a Christian politician. I don't need to tell you to stay tuned. If you move, be right back. We're coming right back right after this quick break.
Every day, people suffer from some sort of joint pain.
To put on my socks, to bend over, to put on, I used to have, it was really pain. I don't have it anymore.
If you've been living in pain and you're tired of trying products that just don't work, you are not alone. Today, 1.5 billion people worldwide are living in chronic pain. Don't let pain deny you the life you deserve. Join hundreds of thousands of Omega XL users that have chosen to fight inflammation and get rid of pain. Now they're living a pain-free life to the fullest thanks to Omega XL, the all-natural anti-inflammatory that has more available omega-3s than regular fish oil. Get more benefits in a powerful gel capsule that is smaller, easier to swallow, and more convenient. Switch to Omega XL and experience results you can feel. Put an end to your pain with Omega XL. Visit your local pharmacy or health food stores and get your Omega XL today.
Welcome back to the second half of tonight's show. Our topic is Mother Pratt, the life and times of a Christian politician. Cynthia Mother Pratt is our very special guest in studio tonight. As we do with every show, we announce who our guest is and our topic. Yes. And we just want to share some of the comments that we would have received on Facebook. Stacey Smith calls you simply legendary. There's one of the thousands and thousands of people who know your great work. We also have here from Kelia Duncombe, where are the current Mother Pratts who aren't afraid to stand for something instead of going along with the flow and nodding? The ones who will speak up when they see injustice happening instead of cowering in fear. Where are they? Is anyone even paying attention? I am sure many times in your life and in your career, you had to stand up for those who had no voice or who could not, who weren't recognized, who were in the gutter, as you said, who needed someone to be out there, to be a beacon of hope or to be someone or provide some help to them.
Jerome, let me share an incident that would have happened that the public would remember. As a member of Parliament, there was a demonstration on Bay Street. You might remember this. The Prime Minister then was Hubert Ingram. He went across to the Churchill building between the masses, and the people threw stuff on him.
This was during the BTC.
There you go, the
first
unions.
privatization exercise. I remember that very clearly.
Yes. And when we returned to Parliament, I stood up in Parliament, and it's recorded. And I condemned the behavior. I said it was wrong. I said it does not matter how we feel about the individual. It's our place to respect the office. It is wrong, and I do not support that kind of behavior. Now, of course, I'm sure there were those who disagreed or didn't like me standing up for that kind, because we play the politics. But what is right, and what is wrong is wrong.
Have we lost that in the context of today's politics? When you look at what is happening in the House of Assembly, in politics itself, where it seems that people are remaining silent?
Well, Jerome, you know, I really didn't want to get into the political conversation, but I just must say this, that I believe that we all have a conscience, and we have to face God for ourselves. If we do not speak up, we're responsible. There's no getting out of it. Because if you disagree, then you should say you disagree, but if you don't say anything, you're just as bad. And so I'm saying that my concern is the lack of respect for those who have paved the way. That troubles me, Jerome. It doesn't matter what side of the political divide you're on. Certain amount of respect should be given to leaders who have paved the way for us, no matter what color they're wearing. That is the right thing to do. And I'm concerned about the youngsters who don't know what it is to fill a cup of water good. And you can get in the face of veterans who have paved the way. That is wrong, Jerome. There's a way to disagree. You have an opinion, yes. You've been elected by the people, yes. But there's so much you must know that respect never changes. It remains, because the day will come when you will be a veteran and you'll have younger people coming up.
Does that speak to what as a nation, does that speak to where we are headed? I see it, I experience it almost on a daily basis, where the level of disrespect and rudeness, outright rudeness,
yes, Jerome,
permeates us at every level.
Yes. I don't know where we've gone wrong. I was sharing, as I often do, we've become a thankless people. I'm not saying everybody, but from what we can see, we expect to get, we don't want to give, but we want to get. And no matter what you get, you're not satisfied. You know, I remember a young man returning home from school during election time to vote against me, he said, because I only got a half scholarship for him.
Repeat that?
I didn't get a full scholarship for him. I got a half scholarship. So he was coming home to vote against me. I'm talking about ingratitude, you know. That hurt. That hurt. But if you were to look at that one young person, you would take it out on everybody else. You can't do that. The fact that many appreciate what she did. But when I look at our country today, even in the children, you give them something and you have to say to them, now say thank you. It's not automatic. It's so different from the people we knew, called the Bahamians. Our people, our level, your level, respect never changed. I don't know if it's because we feel that these are modern times and they call us old school, but the thing about standards and values, they never change. That's what made us so different as a people wherever we went, because Bahamians were always grateful. Bahamians always had a standard. They carried themselves a certain way. They spoke a certain way. And no matter how poor we were, we had pride. We knew what it was to dress appropriately. All of that has changed.
Speak appropriately, how to
Yes.
behave ourselves. Do you ever, when you look back, the countless individuals that you would have helped through scholarship programs, through getting them into college, into getting them out of their current situations and moving, you know, I look at some of the folks that I went to college with who you have been instrumental in getting there, and I see the positions that they hold in this country, and it makes me proud.
Yes.
But do you ever feel, or do you ever get disheartened when you look at all that has been done by yourself and others, and you see this rising ingratitude and thanklessness, and you see the attitude to the people? And what's even disheartening to me, where we seem to be moving away from helping one another. Everything is so selfish and about me and mine and what I'm holding on to. Do you ever feel disheartened, or do you ever feel like, oh, you know, why am I continuing to do this work even now?
Sometimes I think about it, Jerome. Sometimes it bothers me when I see people who I knew where I found them and where they are today, and they have this arrogant spirit. They have this, I'm here now, it's me, I'm all this and a bag of chips. Jerome, when I look at young men and women today, they're medical doctors now.
Mm-hmm.
Some are police officers, principals, chartered accountants, engineers, journalists. I mean, you name it, and the list goes on and on. And I am proud to see that they returned home to build this country.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Jerome, your blessings will come later. But I can remember the many nights driving up Interstate I-95. That's the route I often took to take them. I would rent a van from Miami, and I would drive them to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's 13 hours one way.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a pleasure for me because I was excited about seeing these kids get into school. And I would often say to them, just make something of yourself. That's all I want. I don't want anything more. Just make something of yourself. I've never asked them for a dime, never asked their parents for a dime. Many of these kids had nothing. They had a brain, they were smart, but they were poor. And so they were gifted, athletics, and so I saw an avenue where I can better their condition, because they would never get to college because I had no money. When I look at Ismay Wims, I can use her because I often speak about Ismay. Ismay had just finished A.F. Adley School. She was poor. And I met her this day when she was doing little numbers, selling little things, you know, back then. And I said to her, is this what you want to do with your life? She said, no, ma'am. I said, if you had an opportunity, would you go to college? She said, yes, ma'am, but I can't go because we are poor. So I said to her, bring me your transcript. So she brought a transcript. In about 2 weeks, she brought it to me, and I looked at it, and she was an honor student in the sciences. So I said, wow, some excellent grades. I said, can you run? She said, no, ma'am. I said, can you jump? She said, no, ma'am. I said, you can't do anything? She said, no, ma'am. So I said, you know what? I'm going to find a way to get her in school. I then called my friend because I knew that we needed a statistician to travel with the team. And I said, I'm going to teach her how to score volleyball games. And I called my friend and I said, listen, I have a young lady. She's going to travel with the team, put her in the dorm, let her be one of the dorm directors, and then the other half of scholarship will be academic, so she'll get a full ride. I did that. I never heard any more. I carried her to school, didn't send her, because she had no one to take her.
Wow.
When she got there, after I got them all sorted out, because I would take them down to Kmart and buy little this and that and try to get them set up.
I remember that ride well.
And the thing is, what is amazing about this, Jerome, is that I heard no more from her for a couple of years until one Christmas day the phone rang. And she was on the line, and she said, I know you wonder what happened to me. I said, it crossed my mind. She said, I am now at the University of the West Indies doing my PhD in hematology. Today, she heads the laboratory at Princess Margaret Hospital. And not only Princess Margaret, but she heads the laboratory in the Caribbean. A Bahamian. Mark Thompson, another one that Mark Thompson didn't even have clothes to wear. And I told him I'd have to take him in the next lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mark knew the day I was leaving. And Mark came to the airport. And I said, I told you I can't take you on this group. And he said, you have to go because he has no one. You have to take me, mother. And I carried him because he had already been admitted.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark today is a CEO of a major insurance company in North Carolina. These are the kinds of stories that encourage me to go on, because these are the kids who have returned, some returned home, and they're building this nation, Jerome. They're making this place a better place. That's what gives me the incentive to go on.
Well, Mother Pratt, we have to take our break, but I thank you. The people of the Bahamas thank you for the great work that you've been doing and continue to do. We're going to take our break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the way forward, and I know that there are opportunities for all of us to help, but we're going to continue that discussion right after this.
We're gonna give you a check every week for a year.
Bro, you hear about Percys pension plan?
Yeah, something about $1,000 a week for a year.
That's Percys pension plan. You could win one of 5. All you gotta do is put $20 on your Island Game account, and you have a chance to win up to 52 times.
You know something, guys? I can need one of those Percys pension plan, because with Island Game, it's surely a guarantee.
Oi, I ain't got no tension, I got Percys pension. Counting right this easy train at Percys Island Game.
Welcome back. We are into the final segment of this episode. We are talking to the former Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Cynthia Mother Pratt. Our topic tonight is Mother Pratt, the life and times of a Christian politician. We heard the compelling stories of 2 individuals whose lives you helped transform, and they are just, I would even call them the tip of the iceberg, but they are just a microcosm and a representative of so many others out there who would not have gotten the opportunity to set foot on a college campus. I'm not even talking about at a COB level. But were able to get into an institution like St. Augustine's College and to get an education and to make something of themselves. But that institution and others like it are in a crisis, and I know that part of the work that you are doing now is to try and help this generation now of college-bound students.
Yes, Jerome, I just returned from Raleigh, the end of the month, the first part of February. And President Ward met with me, and they had an opportunity to introduce me to some of the new staff because, I don't know many of them. And they had convocation on at the same time. So he said he wanted me to speak at convocation along with the councilman from the United States who was their keynote speaker, Councilman Butterfield. And he spoke about how much problems the black universities are experiencing financial difficulties because the now president has slashed the grants and, of course, monies as it relates to the black schools. And they depend heavily now on the alumni because, most of the black colleges were founded by the church.
Yes.
Okay. And so you found that they were private institutions. They were not state-supported schools. And so they depend heavily upon the alumni. There is a young girl, a student there now, Jasmine Poitier. who has a GPA of 3.83, and her father has just passed, and their home was destroyed, I think, in the hurricane. She's an A student in physics, chemistry, and calculus.
Wow.
A brain. There are 30 Bahamian students there, and the 30 of them are on the honor roll. The lowest GPA is a 3.0. The president said to me, Mother Pratt, I refuse to send this child home because she is a brilliant child, and we must find a way to get some money to her sister. She has a bill of $17,000. So I returned home really inquiring and trying to get someone to sponsor this child, if only a portion. These are brilliant minds and young people who will return home to build this country.
The Bahamians.
These are all Bahamians. And so when I look at the now and the then, the foundation that we laid when we were there brought much respect to the institution. Mm-hmm. They speak highly of Bahamian students because we are no nonsense and we came for a purpose. We knew and we were focused on what we came for. That's the image that they have on the campus. Therefore, Jerome, when I look at the amount of Bahamians that have been given scholarships, I'm talking about doctors, lawyers, engineers, and I go down the line, who are making pretty good money today. We ought to give back. Unfortunately, we don't do that. And so it is my hope that we would be able to set up some kind of a scholarship fund at the institution for Bahamians who are coming now, brilliant minds, and just do not have the finances in order to get them across the hurdle. And these are the things that bothers me, Jerome, because I know that the school didn't have to do it. We were foreigners, remember? Mm-hmm. They've given Bahamians who are foreigners. When there was a time when people started to argue that the foreigners were getting most of the money.
Most of the funding.
But we were serious about an education. And so I think that we're to a point now where we should be able to give back to an institution that has caused some things to happen for us.
Well, hopefully your parents tonight will inspire some former graduates, some graduates and some alumni to support.
Yes.
I know that there is an alumni association. At one time you headed that.
Yes.
I know there have been some discussions, but certainly whether it's St. Augustine's or any other institution that is now in need, we need to be able to help our own to continue on this legacy of being educated at a higher level. As you now enter this new phase of your life, not new in that you're helping people, you've always done that, but when this movie is finally done and certainly catapults the Bahamas onto the global stage even more, what are you hoping that Bahamians will see and take away from the Mother Pratt experience, from the coming from the gutter, as you have described it, working as a civil servant, something sometimes I think that we take for granted, moving into politics, but still leaving politics with your head held high to be able to continue a great work. What do you want people to see in that representation of you and your life's work?
Jerome, it is my hope that people would see what's in me more so than looking at the outward appearance, because you see, what's in you, it's who you are. Not the suit, not the fine clothes. What's in you, because what's in you must come on the outside. And so if you are led and you're people-driven, that will come out of you. There's nothing too difficult for you as it relates to people. And when I look at my young men in particular, I want to be remembered of a woman who always put emphasis on the men, my young boys. Because men are most of the problems. I'm saying if you could get them realizing who they are, that's half the problem solved in our country. And I constantly say that if a young man they keep calling him no good, he might be 95% no good, Jerome. But I don't see that. I see the 5%. The 5% is where the hope is. He knows he's 95 because everybody tells him he's no good. But somebody came along and saw the 5%. That's where my focus is. Build that, and that then becomes 10, then 20, then 30. And this same young man who you said will never amount to anything, you'll wonder what has happened to him. Somebody has seen the 5%. Then he begins to make something of his life. He realized that I am in charge of my family. I'm going to now pull up my bootstraps. That's what life is about, Jerome. That is where we are going. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about how many you've brought along the way. We passed this way once. Once. Do what we can for as many as we can because we only passed this way one time. And so when I look at the amount of young men today who professionals, Jerome, have said to me, he'll never amount to anything. And I said to one teacher one day, I said, who made you judge and jury? This young man, you don't know. And I said to the young man, I said, did you hear them? He said, yes, ma'am. I said, now you can do one of two things. You can either prove them right or prove them wrong. And so you're going to prove them wrong. Just go on and do what you know is in the best interest for you and prove them wrong that you can amount to something. That is what I see out of life, Jerome. And when I would have touched the lives of these same young people whom everyone called rejects, and the turnaround comes, you'd say, my God, look at this young man. I said, look at you now. He's walking down the road with his briefcase in his hand now. He feels that he is somebody now, Jerome. He's going now to build a country, not destroy it, because he has a different mindset. That's what's important. Until we recognize that it's not about us, we are mere vessels. But we must reach, each one, reach one. When we do that, we will start to see this country rebound. Because, Jerome, in order to go forward, we're going to have to go back. We're going to have to go back. Why? Because what made us who we are is the things we did back there. Manners, respect, values, standards. These were things who made us set out like a sore thumb in the Caribbean and indeed the world. Bahamians. You could identify a Bahamian because of their respectful way. We've changed that, Jerome. We've gone contrary. That is why this lack of respect in the home, lack of respect in the church, lack of respect in the parliament. That's not us as a people. That's not us. We can argue, but we knew how to argue in a respectful manner. We saw a man wearing a robe and a collar. You know that's a priest. My Lord, the respect, you're so fearful because that's the man and woman of God. That's who we used to be. We've changed, Jerome, and that's why we're hurting. Because values, standards, good morning, good evening, excuse me, thank you, these are the things were drilled in us, Jerome. That's what made us a people envious of the Caribbean envied us. Why? Because we were different. We were different. We've changed that. That's why we're hurting, Jerome.
Mother Pratt, this has been quite an experience for us. We thank you. You know, your work has spanned so far beyond politics. And it was important for us to remind people of who you are, what you have done, and to give them a snapshot into what is still to come. You know, I remember when you said you were getting ready to retire in 1990-something. And look at you here today, still going strong. I thank you. I've said it over and over. I say it in every opportunity I get. I am who I am today because of your influence and because of what you insisted should happen with me and with my late mother. And I thank you so much for that. And there are countless others out there who can say the same. We still have a far way to go and a country to build. And through individuals like yourself, we see a light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you, and God bless you in your work. I am so excited about this movie they're going to make about you. And certainly we'll be watching that, and we'll get an opportunity to talk again, I'm sure. But thank you again for agreeing to come, and thank you for all the work that you've done in building the Bahamas and building the people of the Bahamas. And God bless you and Godspeed.
Thank you so much for having me, Jerome.
My pleasure. Well, folks, we hope that you have enjoyed this show tonight. Special thanks to our very special guests, the Honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt, photographer Derek Smith Sr., who provided the wonderful photographs for the show, my producer, technical staff, and of course the audience for watching week after week. We invite you to join us for more On the Record, same time, same place. I'm your host once again, Jerome Sawyer. We'll see you next time.